Hello again. The purpose of this lecture is I'm going to attempt to hit the high points of Chapter 28, the verb chapter of your textbook. Most of this stuff should be pretty much a review for y'all. So I'm going to skip over some things. I'm going to scroll through some things quickly and just hit the high points. There might be a second video. We'll see how this goes. Okay, introduction of, things we've talked about making subjects and verbs agree. That's chapter 21. You need to go back over that. Using irregular verb forms. That's in 27. You want to look at that. Verb endings, again, 27. And then 27. Avoiding inappropriate uses of passive voice. I'm going to do a separate lecture on that one at some point once I get that chapter uploaded. Passive voice is very tricky. We've even dealt with it at the graduate level in historical writing, but I'll try to give you a simple version. Appropriate verb form and tense. We've seen this. I'm going to skip over this. There's a nice chart right here on page 231 with the base forms, the past tense, the past participle, the present participle, and the S form. Again, you've seen this in grammar, you've seen this in compositions 1, 2, and 3. I'm not going to go over it. If you have a question, please, again, contact me, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Verb tenses, okay, this is active voice. I forgot to go back over this. Active voice, general facts, states of being, active, habitual, repetitive actions. We will talk about passive as we get into also about writing about literature when we get into your analytical essays. Simple past and that kind of stuff. Simple future, I will exercise tomorrow, the storm destroyed. Those are verbs that are used in the active. And as I say, we'll cover that at some point in the future. Active voice, present progressive, past perfect, all that kind of stuff. Again, we'll get to that at some point. It can be a problem, but it's just really hard to explain, and we'll talk about that at some point. To write verbs, I will talk about this to get technical. To write verbs in the passive, we use a form of be and the past participle. Remember, the past participle is up here, like helped, given, give. You see these in verb charts. So you're just going to have to commit them to memory. So let's go back down here. The solution was heated to 80 degrees Celsius. The form of passive voice, we use form of be. You remember your conjugation of be. But if you look here, the past participle, dreaming in Cuban was written, not was writing, was written by Christiana Garcia. The child is being tested. Again, past participle. Again, that's how it makes passive. Passive means the verb is active means you're doing something actively. Like I'm running. I was running. That is a passive. Again, hard to pick up. I'm not going to really spend that much time on it. Again, verbs used in the passive tense. You can just go over this. If you have a question, please let me know. And let's go on to the base form of the verb, a modal. What's a modal verb? Well, they're pretty simple. We've probably seen these before. Can, could, may, might, must, should, would. They're modals, which we use the base form. And modals do not change to indicate tense. They're commonly used the base form of the verb to show ability, certainty, necessity, permission, obligation. Again, you probably had this in grammar class, but this is just a review. You see the Art Museum will launch its fundraising campaign next month. The modal will followed by the base form of launch. not the present launches. Remember that. I'm not seeing many problems with this in teaching Comp 5 with writing. I rarely see a problem with it. Just something to be aware of. Again, you can see modals and their meanings. If you again have a question, let me know. You should know all these. The tip is very important. Do not use to in front of the main verb. Gina can drive us home if we miss the last train. And again, there's some good exercises here to do on your own for practice with modal verbs. I would suggest you doing them, get some repetition. I did not require them for homework. Good practice. If you want, again, one of them, please let me know. To make a negative form, add not to in the appropriate place. Gina is not a member of the club. Marikiko does not want more dessert. Again, you've seen this. Pretty quick and straightforward. Now we get into some stuff that's a little tricky, but I think you can do this. In conditional sentence, choose the verb tense according to the type of condition being expressed. Conditional sentences, if you remember, a subordinate clause, if, the if then, or if when. If it's raining, I will not run. I will not go running. If I had a boat, I would go out on the ocean. That's what I love it would once say. One of my favorite songs. And an independent clause. So if it's a factual thing, factual conditional relationships expression based on facts. If water cools to 32 degrees Fahrenheit, it freezes. All right. You could actually add in then it freezes. All right. If water cools, the sentence describes a condition that is habitually used. You use the same tense in both sentences. When Sue jogs along the canal, her dog runs with her. Again, that's a habit. Think about, I can't think of another example. Whenever the coach asked for help, I volunteered. Pretty straightforward. Predictive. Again, guessing what's going on in the future. Predictive conditional sentences are used to predict the future or express future plans. To form a predictive sentence, use a present tense verb in the subordinate clause, the if, and in the independent clause, you should use the modal will. We talked about that. We saw about that earlier. If you practice regularly, your tennis game will improve. If you do these exercises, your writing will improve. We will lose our remaining wetlands unless we act now. We will have a second wave of coronavirus unless we practice social distancing. Okay, speculative. Contrary to fact and possible conditions. English uses the past. Oh, I missed a page. Okay, well, we'll skip on. I actually missed a couple pages. I'm sorry about that. Verb and gerunds, okay? With a few verbs of the choice of a gerund, with a few verbs choice of a gerund or an infinitive affects the meaning dramatically. Forget, remember, stop, or try. She stopped speaking to Lucia. She no longer speaks to Lucia. You see, speak means talk. Speaking, all of a sudden, is the process of talking. She stopped to speak to Lucia. You see the difference. She paused so that she could speak to Lucia. This gets a little technical. Verbs followed by a gerund, but not by an infinitive. Admit, appreciate, avoid, yada yada yada. Bill enjoys playing the piano. You don't say to play. Jamie quit smoking. You don't say Jamie quit to smoke. Just again, also those, if you try that way, just listen to that. Jamie quit to smoke. That doesn't sound right. Bill enjoys to play the piano. Again, it just sounds, to me, it sounds awkward. Verb plus infinitive. These verbs may be followed by infinitive, but not by a gerund. All right, let's look at this. Jill has offered to water the plants while we're away. Betsy offered to feed Granger while I was away. Jose finally managed to find a parking space. Not Jose managed to find parking space. To manage finding a parking space. To find. Verb plus noun plus pronoun plus infinitive. Okay. Again, this is in the active. Noun or pronoun must come between the verb and the infinitive. The class encouraged Luis to tell the story of his escape. You see, verb, noun, infinitive. And with those verbs, you have to do that. Verb plus pronoun plus unmarked infinitive. Unmarked infinitive is an infinitive without the word to. A few of these verbs may be followed. Jorge had the valet park his car. You don't say Jorge had the valet to park his car. Frank made me, you can see how it doesn't work. Frank made me to carry his book, to carry his book for him. Frank made me carry his book for him. Help can be found by a pronoun or unmarked infinitive. We'll go over that. And that wraps up the verb section. Kind of fast. If you have any questions, again, please get with me. We'll talk about passive more at a later thing. If you have any questions, do the exercises. Any questions, please get with me. Thank you.